Well, in Bangalore, things couldn't possibly get any worse as the horror continues to unfold in the preschool, where there was one case of sexual abuse reported. Now more children have come forward to report similar instances of abuse. This follows a case of molestation of a 3-year-old who was a student of the same school. This came into light about a week ago and shocked everyone. Since then, a spate of FIRs have been launched against the principal, Veena, the supervisor, Manjunath, who in this case, most of the children are pointing out as the perpetrator of the crime. The school has also had an FIR lodged against it. Hapless parents are in fact staging protests against the school on Monday. Shrija gives us details.
Even though a week has passed away, even though 7 FIRs have been lodged against the preschool, which was accused of molesting 3.5-year-old girl, no action has been taken against the school principal, Dr. Veena. What we know is that Manjunath, the supervisor of the school, was accused of molesting more than anywhere between 20 to 30 little girls, and this is alleged by the parents. Right now, he's cooling his heels behind the Parapanagrahara jail, while the principal of the school, Dr. Veena, is let scot-free. In fact, she was just booked under IPC section 188. Meanwhile, the police is right now investigating all the 7 cases. What we hear from the parents is that this morning they received calls from the school authorities saying that they can start sending their children back to school, that is to the daycare, which they are planning to start in the same institution, same building where 7 molestation cases were reported. In Bengaluru, Shrija for Magicbricks Now.
The principal completely denied that this is not possible, and the accused Manju Bhaiya in this situation cannot do anything like that. There are certain standards and guidelines that are being followed. We do not allow anybody, and so the parents felt that they were not being supported. They decided to go to the police station to file an FIR against the individual. The individual was behind the bars. We lodged a complaint which was like 4-page with the documentary evidence, with the supporting signatures of all the parents, but it was not converted into an FIR. And that was the situation. We heard a lot of yarn from all the police authorities, starting from the inspector to the DCP to the additional commissioner. The parents ended up actually feeling a little threatened. The questions that were being put and told was, "You're being speculative."
Parents being accused of speculating and not doing enough research. The question is, viewers, now that this one perpetrator is behind bars, did the police do enough? Has the state government done enough to make sure that our children who go to these play schools are in fact safe? It is one thing for one case to come forward, but when so many parents are asking for somebody to take responsibility, will the state government step forward? Will the police step forward? Will the school be held responsible for not only hiring someone without a proper background check, but then defending that perpetrator repeatedly after complaints came in from the parents? Who's responsible to keep our children safe when we send them to these schools that charge us exorbitant amounts as fees and then don't care for basic safety? That's the question we're asking today. If the state government had formulated a policy several years ago, why isn't that policy implemented in all of these schools? Why isn't the state government looking more worried about what's happening in the schools of Bangalore? Let me point out, this is not the first such case to pop up in Bangalore. We're going to take a quick break, and we have a panel of guests who join us talking about this topic, as well as our phone lines stay open for you viewers to pick up the phone and call us. 30 seconds and we come back. Several cases coming forward right now for that one play school where a complaint was made last week that one of the attendants had sexually molested a child. Now 6 or 7 FIRs have been filed out of that same school, and the parents are protesting that the police take strict action against the school. The question we're asking this evening is, whose responsibility is it to keep our children safe? Is it the school? Is it the police? Is it the state government? Who do we trust when we drop our children off to school? What needs to be done to make sure that children are kept safe? And why is it that in spite of having a policy for over a year right now, the state government has not implemented it? Joining me on the panel this evening, two parents from the school in question who don't want to be named, so we've concealed their identities. Major Aditi Mohan, who is a volunteer who works in the area of child rights. Vivek Reddy is an advocate. He's also the joint spokesperson of the BJP in Karnataka. Brinda Adige is a child and women's rights activist. Soumya Reddy is the Mahila Congress Committee who represents the state government. And we'll also have other people patched in on the phone. I want to start with the two parents who've been brave enough to join us today. I'll start with parent number one, mother number one, who joins us right now. I can't use your name, but would you please tell us what has been happening in the school over the last week?
So, over the last week, we have been running pillar to post, knocking all the doors possible to see some action. So while, the accused has been arrested on the first night and we'll give it to the police. But, after that, the moment, we got to know that there are many more children, it cannot be an oversight, simply stated as negligence from the part of the authorities. So we have been running pillar to post to ensure that the authorities are punished, they are held accountable. And I think from there on, the moment we talked about authorities, we didn't see any action. And, after some time now that, there are a lot of words coming out from, the government, the police, we get to see some action, and I'm just wanting to believe that, yes, there is some investigation that is happening. That's the only hope that we have, and we will continue to run, we'll continue to, ensure that our children get justice.
Well, you said that now...
Worst case today was that we, some of the parents got a... Some of the parents got a call from the school saying that if you want, if they would like to send their children to the daycare. And that was even more shocking, and that's really heartbreaking. That what have we been doing since last 1 week?
Well, you said that there are several other cases that have come forward. How many cases have come forward right now?
The records of the parents.
Right. How many cases have come forward right now? And have the police been helpful in filing FIRs so far?
So there are 5 more cases that have come forward after, we took the responsibility to inform all the parents, because school did not take that responsibility. And, more and more parents, there are around 30 to 40 more parents who actually came back saying that we have seen the change in behaviors, we have seen our kids complaining of pain in the bum, but we don't have any evidence, and our children can't even talk. There are some parents whose children are like 18 months old, and they can see some kind of bruise in the back, and they are so sure, but there's no evidence. So there's some who choose to just sit back and just see what's happening in the case. So there are more than 30 parents who have confirmed that yes, we have been coming to the school authorities. In fact, we have been calling them. Our child was crying for last 1 month to go to school, and I feel so bad saying this that I couldn't even see what was the reason why she tried telling me that. And I went to school, we checked with the authorities if everything was all right, but we were assured that everything is all right. But when all the parents got together is when we heard the horror stories that there are more than 40 parents who complained in last 1 month in the school to the school administrator and the principal that our kids have been crying. There are 10 parents who came forward in one of the meetings that some government official was taking up, and there were 10 parents who came and said that, our kids have been complaining of pain in the bum. Now that can't be a coincidence. Children complain about pain in the stomach, but not bum. So, it's so, and all of this cannot happen without authorities being aware, or it is a very, very severe mistake. I mean, it can't be just held under the, account of negligence. This is a sin. I mean, if today, believe me, if today we leave the authorities like that, none of the authorities in any of the school will take any accountability to follow these rules and guidelines, no matter how much the government authorities make the rules and guidelines, but they know they'll get away. Not even the school has been shut down, and this is really raging us up now.
Well, parent number two, And I know how hard this is for both of you, and I want to point out how brave you are for coming forward, because parents who are now watching this on television will realize that as soon as they hear their children complain about anything of the sort, they need to immediately take action and immediately find out what the problem is. The second mother who's joined us today, I want to understand, when the reports started coming forward, this individual, Manjunath, who's now in police custody, how quickly did the school act? Did the school principal immediately get rid of this person? Was he still allowed to come back into the school? What was the procedure that was being followed? Did the school in any way reassure the parents that they're doing everything that needs to be done?
We didn't get any anything from school stating that this incident has happened, apparently, but we knew the girl who was affected, who was brave enough to come out, the 3-year-old girl, and the parents told us that this has happened. We also started, so I personally, my kid is a boy, and he had also been complaining of pain in the bum, so I started asking him. The culprit was arrested the first day itself. For that, we give police, they took swift action, and they arrested him as soon as possible. But school did not inform us. It's us, it's these parents who came out first. They told us that, because the girl stated that, Manju Bhaiya used to do that with my other friends as well. That's when we started inquiring our kids, who is this Manju Bhaiya? We don't even know who are. We know the teachers. We know at least the ayahs who take care of the kids. This Manju Bhaiya was nowhere in picture, and he came. We showed him the picture, and he said, yeah, he's a bad. I know this. He is Manju Bhaiya. He's a bad boy. He hurt me in the bum. But we did not get any assurances we did not get any communication from the school itself that some incident like this has happened. Parents were coming, dropping their kids on this incident. Was reported on Friday when this culprit was arrested, but till Monday morning the school was running fine. We were not informed anything like this has happened. That's when you start questioning the authorities as well. They just want the school to run, they just want the money to flow in. They are not concerned whether, they did not even ask whether we need counseling for the kids. None of that has happened.
Absolutely, and that's a different thing. I mean, that's a distinct thing. My surprise was, Faya, that when this Manju Bhaiya, so-called Bhaiya, was getting arrested, he was down with the police. The school principal had the cheek to call us and pled that please leave him, do not get him arrested, I will do the inquiry, but please right now, please leave him. Now that got us suspected. I mean, how could you ever tell to leave such a guy, despite the fact that my girl has in front of you 5-6 times told the entire story, and plus she's pointing at the bhaiya, identifying the guy, even in the picture, in person, and then she had the cheek to call me at the same night saying that, just leave him. And after that, whatever you say is just unpardonable. She asked me for the medical reports. Do you have the medical report? I am not going to file the FIR. I mean, that's something which is not pardonable.
Absolutely. And to the two mothers who've been brave enough to join us on the show today, I welcome you to interrupt this conversation whenever you want to add something, because I cannot see you when you raise your hands. Interrupt and just be part of this conversation, because yours are the most important voices right now. You represent the children. Major Aditi Mohan, who's been a volunteer this entire time. This is shocking that this could have happened to so many children. And the school not only turning a blind eye, also defending the perpetrator of this horrendous, horrific crime and trying to keep him out of jail.
That is true. That is true. In fact, from the moment we learned to the moment I landed to the school and saw that the parents were actually pleading for the principal to be out of the school, and we saw the authority just sitting on a chair, that was really heartbreaking. While we stayed within the law, but we did try to get out the principal and hand it over to the police. Surprisingly, I'm not sure where she was taken. That is one. to when the parents were sitting from 7 in the evening till midnight and their application was filed, and each one of us were pleading to the authorities to get it converted into an FIR, we were actually told, we'll put it as an attachment. That was another heartbreak. Every hour we were questioned. There were a lot of statements that were made. That was the first day. The stances have changed ever since we put it up on the media. We've been able to put pressure, but does it really need pressure for such kind of cases? I think
sort of statements. Major Aditi Mohan, what sort of statements were made on the first day?
Yes. So to start with, the highest authorities, they turned around and actually questioned the parents who had gone to meet. We had all gone to meet, and during the conversation, he actually mentioned that don't mind if I ask you something. That were you not aware of all of this until this case came up? The mother actually had to turn around and say, are you asking me to ask my child every day that did Manju Bhaiya put a finger inside? So that is the time, ma'am, our hearts just broke. That was not a question to be asked. We came with a lot of hope. We wanted action to be taken. Media had already hyped it up. I think that was reason enough for them to take an action. And Section 188, in fact, when the application was put in the local language, which is Kannada, out here in Karnataka, the police authority, to the level of the inspector, he communicated to the Jawan and handed over the application, and he said that, put it under negligence. And we did, because the word was in English. I asked him, you want this application to be put under negligence? And he made his statement, which was very clear. I've been speaking about it, that the way you deal with your Jawans in the Indian Army and your boys and soldiers understand, aapka ishara samajh jate hain, that is the way my boys have understood what needs to be done with the application. So that was the state of affair. Even then, there was a lot of harshness, there was a lot of rudeness on the first day. I'm talking about the first day, first night. To the extent that when parents were trying to understand what are you going to do next, what measures are going to take, what happens if this happens, what are the next steps, the question was, what do you do for a living? The parent turned around and said that I'm an IT professional. The authority said, if I start teaching you your IT protocols, will I not look like a fool? What was the authority trying to, tell there? He said, so don't teach me
how to do my job.
How to do my job. Ma'am, every then and again, we've there have been closed doors. But yes, again on air, media has been really helpful, and we have sent out a memorandum. Police has stepped forward. They have given assurances. We want the steps to be taken, action to be taken. I still want to know if the case has been booked under POCSO, rightfully. Where is the lady?
Where is the lady? Where is that school principal? I want to ask Vivek Reddy. Vivek, I want to point out to our audience, represents the BJP, which is in opposition in Karnataka, but he's also an advocate. Vivek, there's a very clear protocol on how the police needs to deal with the situation of child abuse. In your opinion, did the police follow this protocol?
No, from what information I'm gathering from what the parents are saying and what Mrs. Aditi Mohan has expressed here in this discussion, it is very clear and manifest that they have refused to take action in accordance with the protocols. And first and foremost, I'm astonished that in the wake of such an inhuman act, the police are trying to cover it up. There is an eyewash of an investigation here. And that is the sad part in this whole thing. Politics apart, as representatives of political parties, we would always say that what the government has done is wrong. But now let me get to the authorities. What have the authorities done here? This issue has no politics. This issue is of grave concern to society. This issue is of grave concern to the parents. And what has this inspector done? And what are his responses? It appears that, in every part of India, wherever we go, the police is hand in glove with the accused, and they refuse to take action.
One of the mothers wants to say something. Go ahead, ma'am. Go ahead.
Thank you, Vivek, for saying that. At the same time, I would like to also add one point that on 17th, when we registered the complaint, of course, the accused was arrested, but on Monday, when we got to know more cases, we demanded that authorities needs to be punished. But to our surprise, even after knowing about so many cases, it was only on Tuesday when we brought to the notice of the authorities that the accused house is not sealed. The school is not sealed as yet. All the evidences are gone.
Absolutely.
And we had to literally take the police to the accused house, who, by the way, lives in the same institution, to really seal it. We had to go to the topmost police officer to bring to his notice that the guy's house is not even locked.
I want to just, 1 second, Vivek, I want to just bring up another point here. On the 27th of January 2017, in the city of Bangalore, a very prestigious high school called Kendra Vidyalaya received complaints that the principal of the school, one Mr. Kumar Thakur, was repeatedly sexually abusing the high school students. On the pretext of counseling the girls in the 9th and the 10th and the 11th standard, he was bringing them into a room and he was saying horrific, horrible things that I'm not even going to repeat right now on national television. But Brinda Adige, there was a serious problem in that case as well. The school, KV, Kendra Vidyalaya, sent him on 15 days of leave. And they were planning on transferring him to the Kochi branch of that same school, because there is no protocol right now in the system of how these cases have to be dealt with, how the school should be held responsible, what the school should do as soon as it receives a complaint, how should it protect the children, and how should it make sure that the perpetrator is not allowed near any other children. This particular case, also in Kendra Vidyalaya, Kumar Thakur came back the next day to the school, threatened the students, threatened the other teachers with dire circumstances in case any of them bore witness to the police. Now, this is the problem here, that there is no system at all and schools get off scot-free. The two mothers who've been kind enough to come onto the show are telling us the same thing, that there was no protocol and the school didn't do anything even after receiving repeated complaints. And there is the problem of why these people think they can constantly get away with it.
Exactly. There is no system. There is no protocol, and none of the schools as institutions are pulled up. Karnataka has a child protection policy which was brought out last year. Extensive work was done on it, and it is supposedly one of the better child protection policies in the country. But the education department has not made it mandatory for all schools to adopt it or even set guidelines for it and follow it on a mandatory basis. And this is what happens in every case. We have a very strong law, POCSO, and that could have been filed immediately, both in the KV case as well as in the present case that we are discussing about. But I'm not very sure why the police hesitate on registering the case under this particular act, because it is a strong act and it has several clauses and sections where other people, even if they have the knowledge of having some child who has been abused sexually, can be given that information and their complaint can be taken. But if I know and I have not complained, the principal should have also been booked. So this clause says that if some adult knows that a child has been abused or alleged that the child has been subject to this kind of a sexual assault, the person can make a complaint, and if the person has not made, the person can be booked under this act. I'm again not sure why the police has not done it. So like you said, I come back to our systems being weak, our government not looking at issues of child protection seriously, our teachers not being held responsible to look after the children, because parents trust, have confidence in the school and put their children over there, drop them at 7:30, 8 in the morning, very, very confident that nothing will happen, the child is safe. And the large question here is, women are anyway not safe in the homes or on the streets. But here we also have children who are not safe in schools. And the system is unwilling to pull up the perpetrators or the assaulters.
I want to bring in Soumya Reddy of the Mahila Congress Committee of the Karnataka State Government. Soumya Reddy, I'm holding in my hand here the Karnataka State Child Protection Policy that was passed by the Cabinet of the State of Karnataka in April 2016. It's nearly a year old now. It has hardly been implemented. The first page of this very, very interesting document says the state will implement preventive and corrective measures to ensure that no child is exposed or subjected to any form of physical or mental violence, abuse, neglect or exploitation. Has the state, in its own words, failed the children of Bangalore? Soumya Reddy.
First of all, it's something that's really horrible that's happened and should really not happen. And the 6 FIRs have been registered against the accused and also the management as well under POCSO, to my knowledge, including the principal. And let me also share that the Karnataka government and...
After media pressure. That's right. No, and if we had not made the right noises, ma'am...
As soon as we found out, it has been done, including Mr. Praveen Sood and the Chief Minister.
Ma'am, I'd like to interfere here.
This is something that's very, very serious and is...
Well, none of us are taking it lightly. I promise you, Soumya Reddy, none of us are taking this lightly. We all recognize how serious it is. And I'm sure most of all, the two mothers who've joined us on this panel recognize how serious this matter is. We don't need the state government to remind us that it's a serious matter. Also, I will thank you right now not to belittle the statements made by the mothers in the beginning of this discussion, where they pointed out that their FIR was not lodged immediately. They pointed out that the FIRs were only lodged after media pressure. They pointed out that the entire system only kicked into gear after the media started making a noise. Now, in spite of that, please don't call them liars by denying what happened, what the truth was. Tell me now, what is the state government doing? What is the state government doing to tell every parent in the city of Bangalore who drops off a child to school tomorrow that that child will be physically safe when they pick up that child in the evening? What is the state government doing to give us that assurance of safety?
The Karnataka state government has a child protection policy which has been basically done with a lot of research, and I would like to say that the government has taken this extremely seriously and
protection policy received a budgetary allocation from the state government, madam? Has the child protection policy received a budgetary allocation from the state government?
It's supposed to happen in a couple of weeks, and they do plan to do that.
On April 2016, your child protection policy says, and I'm reading page 10, the state shall ensure child budgeting across all departments for effective and efficient implementation of the policy. The state will also undertake child budget analysis across these departments to assess the spends on child protection within the state to ensure that all resources are allocated adequately and appropriately utilized. The budget has not been done. How will the policy be implemented if there is no money? Also, the state has not sent a notification to the school saying it is compulsory to set up whatever is required in the policy in each school. So if you write a document, and I will acknowledge that the Karnataka state government has written an excellent document that puts down all policies, but it is not implemented for the last 1 year. So tell me how we should believe the fact that you are serious about this.
In fact, if you actually check out the Chief Minister's tweets, we are going to work along with the Women and Child Department as well, with the Education Department and the schools to ensure that this is going to be strictly implemented.
All this is lip sympathy, madam. All this is lip sympathy, with actually no concrete action on the field. Let me ask Soumya Reddy one question. What action has the Education Department taken with respect to such a school, which has been running this offence, which has been patronizing this offence for such a long time? What action have you taken? Your child policy is on paper, but there is nothing in action.
There's
And what
nothing in
action have you taken against the police officer who has allowed vital evidence to get lost? And tomorrow the offender may get away with the crime because of your delay.
That is exact.
Go ahead. The mother who's speaking, go ahead.
So that is, that is exactly our point. You can approve and give budgets to any kind of policies, but if the authorities are not held accountable, if they don't face any consequences, and this is how they are being protected, then it's of no use. I'm not going to send my child to school ever again. I cannot. How do I believe that the principal or the authorities will take care of my child? She's just 3 years old. She can't even speak properly. Second thing, about the policies, while you were talking about it, now here's something that we've put in the memorandum, and I really want to again restate it, which we as parents are very, very worried about. And I think right now, put your ears of human beings and not any policy writers or politicians or police. Please put your ears of human beings with the soul. Please understand, these are 2.5, 3.5 years kid. They have been already asked and video recorded about the incident by the police and the social worker. As per the policy, good. I am good with it. But now again they have to go to the magistrate and give the same incident again. Our heart melt when they talk about it. But okay, even if that is a procedure, please do it quickly. We can't wait for 2 months or 1 month, for even like 3 weeks for that to happen. I don't want my child to recite that over and over again. I want her to just forget it or remember it as a brave story, but I don't want her to recite it. So that's a request. Please, whatever policy guidelines you do, we are just normal human beings and we want our children safe. We don't want them to remember this.
That's a very good point. Kripa Alva, chairperson of the Karnataka State Commission for the Protection of Child Rights. 1 second, madam. Kripa Alva is the chairperson of the Karnataka State Commission for Protection of Child Rights. Kripa Alva, thank you for joining us. I have several questions for you, madam. First of all, I want to understand, and we had a representative of the state government tell us that, look, the Chief Minister has tweeted, which he has, I will acknowledge. Look, the police in Bangalore has tweeted saying we will work fastest as possible. Now, I have a phone as well. Tweeting is free, and it takes about 4 seconds to do. That's not enough. In the meantime, your policy has gone unimplemented. There is evidence that has been lost, and I still don't understand why the police in Bangalore did not want to register this case under the Protection of Children from Sexual Offences Act, which is the POXO case, which is very, very clear on how this should be dealt with. Why did the police register a case of negligence? Is there some confusion in the city of Bangalore about what this particular crime is?
Can I answer?
Please go ahead, madam.
Yeah. As a commission chairperson, the moment I got to know of this, I sought legal opinion, and I have written to the DCP of Bangalore pertaining to this particular region, asking him to book the principal and the management under the POXO section of 3 and 4. But they have now booked the management under the section of 21 of POXO. So it's not that they have not booked, but perhaps they should have booked her under a relevant section. What I have been urging everybody to do is, sometimes it so happens that the police department does not know under which section they're supposed to book the accused.
How can you have a police force who doesn't understand what this particular case is and what section they should be booking against? This is the same police force, I will point out to you, that turned around and told parents, don't teach me my job, I know how to do my job. Our boys know what sort of cases these are. They will file whatever they want to.
Since the parent is with you all, and I did hear her speak, the parents do know that I have stood by them right from the time this incident has happened. I've also spoken to the franchisees, asked them to suspend, and that was the time they suspended the franchisee of this particular play school, and now I've also asked them to terminate it. So even this evening, the father had called me when he received a message saying that the same management plans to start another daycare center, and she's been calling up people saying that they're going to start a day. I'm going to take serious cognizance of this.
Also,
and I will not allow this to happen. As long as I do not want to speak for others, but I would like to speak for the Commission. We as a Commission have worked diligently and we have been working. That is what I would like to say. But see, one should understand that POCSO is not a very old act in place. It was promulgated only in 2012 November. Teething problems are there. We have to. When you ask me why isn't the police knowing everything, one should understand. Let us be a little more pragmatic. What I've been asking, just the other day, we had a sensitization for the police department as well at the Karnataka Police Academy. And what I've been insisting is, if the police do not know which section they're supposed to book these accused in, then they're supposed to have a lawyer or the special public prosecutor assisting them right from the word go. So, it will take time.
Vivek?
Yes.
Vivek Reddy, go ahead. Vivek Reddy.
I beg to differ with what Mrs. Kripa Arwa is saying. I'm sorry. Don't paint the police as if they are ignorant about these sections. These sections are translated into Kannada and in English. And it is so clear, so transparent. I don't think we can believe the story that the police need to be sensitized about this. This is a grave, inhuman, a barbaric offense. And you are saying when they are confronted with such an offense, they tell the people, the police tell them they don't book the FIR. What is wrong in booking the FIR?
They did not book the FIR.
A criminal case commences when you
Can
book
I
the FIR. All you have to do is set the law in motion and report to the magistrate. Don't tell me that they are not sensitized to this.
Ma'am, the application of the parents, point number 10, clearly stated that please book the principal, the owner, the director, the lady under the POCSO Act. Yet it was not done. The 5-6 FIRs, which actually after the parents went through an ordeal and they were there in the police station till 4 in the morning, in fact, they had clearly mentioned that the sections to be put under were 5, 6, 8, 10, 16, 15, all of them, ma'am. There has been anyways a willful misrepresentation. The lady has concealed. There is a telephonic conversation which is recorded. There is a mail from the ex-teacher of the school which has been attached to the first application by the parent. Yet, as an evidence, yet the police did not take action.
The police did not take action.
Stances have changed.
1 second. I want to bring in Komal Ganotra. She's the Director of Policy and Advocacy and Research at CRY. Child Rights in You. Komal, go ahead.
Yeah, Soumya, there's something very fundamental that we are missing here. When we talk of a preschool, if we look at our education system, the education system largely looks at the implementation of the Right to Education Act, which is for children in the age group of 6 to 14 and secondary education. If you look at the public provisioning of for children in the age group of 3 to 6, while in the private schools it is preschool, in the government setup, it is the Anganwadis which come under the Ministry of Women and Child Development. Now, therefore, if you see with the Education Department, their responsibility vis-a-vis preschools is very, very less. Therefore, the whole monitoring system with respect to preschools does not actually exist. So, while the responsive part is very, very important after we come to know, what the fundamental issue I am bringing here to the light is the preschools at this point of time were the most vulnerable children in the age group of 3 to 6 who do not have an expression to be able to tell what is going through or complaint or even understand what is happening to me till I feel the hurt, are actually the systems are not monitored there. When we keep employees there, there are no mandatory reference checks to be made. There is no mandatory reporting that these schools have to do. There is no monitoring of child protection in the school. So, you know, when we don't put up a system by saying there's a child protection policy, things don't happen in India. You really have to put up those systems and you have to have a monitoring mechanism to ensure that
there is a child protection policy, like Komal's pointing out, that when
having worked in
right, Brinda Adige, the child protection policy that Komal's talking about, which Karnataka is one of the few states that has actually written out a policy but done absolutely nothing about it after that. Sweet nothing has been done to implement this policy to protect the children. So here you have a government that is aware of the problem, that has a ready solution, but has zero will to implement that solution. I was reading this policy. It lists out repeatedly the fact that one of the challenges being faced in the state is inadequate personnel who are experienced, who are trained, who are medical staff, teachers, counsellors, police who are connected with childcare. All of these people have to be screened. All of these people have to be picked carefully. So the state is aware of the problem. They understand the gravity of it. They've just chosen not to do anything, Brinda.
Absolutely, Faye.
I'll also want to bring one thing to light here, Soumya, if you permit me.
One second. I'm just going to Brinda Adige first, and then I'll come back to you, Komal.
We had a very serious case in 2014. There was a lot of knee-jerk reactions from the government. They also brought down several guidelines that has to be followed by the schools, but nothing compulsory. No punishment, no stringent action taken if the school does or does not implement. From CCTV cameras to having a register with who their employees are and what is the background. It was just a knee-jerk reaction, again because of media pressure. But there is no monitoring. We are looking at these things happening day in and day out, where the government has a lot of other things that it considers important. Protection of children, having these criteria set down in all of the schools, irrespective of what the schools are, could be SLC schools, ICSE, CBSE, Kendriya Vidyalaya, what it may be. And now we know that working parents always require a preschool or a nursery or a creche. Even these need to be brought under the ambit of the government and be monitored. But none of this is happening. We have also been talking about a list, an offenders list or some kind of a profiling of offenders, so that schools will look at all of this before they appoint their staff and employees. This has not happened. Several schools do not have CCTVs and they claim that they do not have the funds for it, and because of which this coming academic year the fees has increased by over 80% in several schools. But still the government has not done anything. They have not come in strongly and they are falling prey to several school institutions talking about lack of funds to put these things into places. But secondly, there is no monitoring committee. There is no inspection. And if there is something like this, there is no report that is out.
Soumya Reddy of the Mahila Congress Committee. We have parents all over Bangalore, all over the country who are listening right now, Soumya Reddy. And we have two mothers who have come in today to talk about what their children went through and what they went through. I want you, as a representative of the Karnataka state government, to speak to them directly and answer the questions that they are asking. Why are they and their children in this position today? Why do they have to come on national television with their faces in the dark and say things like, think as human beings, put on the ears of a human being, put yourself in my place, put yourself in my child's place? Why? Why do parents have to put up with this? Why have we reached this point where this is the conversation we are having tonight, Soumya Reddy? Speak to these parents directly, please.
First of all, it's something that's really horrible. Nobody really has to go through this. And I would like to say that the Karnataka government is in fact really serious, right from the child protection policy and also even implementing it in the schools as well. In fact, there is a committee that's been set up which has been working constantly, in fact doing awareness, doing public consultations in different districts, and even in these cases as well, inspection has been done and a report has been submitted as well. And in the future, I can assure you that this is going to be implemented and going to be taken very seriously.
To the two mothers who are listening, are you satisfied with that answer? 1 second.
No, ma'am. Ma'am, I have to say something. I have to say something to Miss Reddy. Ma'am, every authority was put the question that apparently the lady, the principal in question, happens to be the daughter of a politician, the sitting MLC. and we had questioned, and I asked that, are you going to come under the influence of a politician? And the answer by the authorities from the top to the bottom was that we don't care. If you don't care, where is she? If you're saying you're going to do this in future, ma'am, we're not looking at future. Please, for God's sake, there are parents, they're going on every channel. There are parents who stepped out yesterday doing a peace protest. Yes, the authorities gave assurances. They were a part of this rally. Fantastic. But now it's time that we actually take some action and we bring in the results. This case needs to be closed at the earliest. The memorandum is already there on social media. We want the school shut down.
Let's get the answer to that first question. Soumya, can you tell us, where is the principal of this school right now? She was released on bail. Does the government know where she is?
I would like to say that, see, no matter who the person is, nobody is above the law. And every case is going to be taken seriously, irrespective of who it is. And like I said earlier, the case has been registered as well against the principal and the attendant as well.
Section 188, ma'am. Section 188. We are asking of Section
And
16, ma'am.
as
Section
well.
21 has been put. Why is this not being pursued further, ma'am? Why do we have to sit here pleading via the media that, action needs to be taken? She has to be behind bars, ma'am. Please, let's start the trial.
There was another incident pointed out by Mrs. Aparna, which I'd like to, Mrs. Aditi, which I'd like to.
All right, but the mother wants to say something. One of the mothers wants to say something. Go ahead, ma'am.
Ma'am, it's 1 week that we have filed an FIR, and we as a parents who are supposed to be with the kids at home, traumatized kids, we as a parents are running from here to there. We get up in the morning, we leave house, we go back at 11 or 12. We don't see our kids. It's not us who should be running after the authorities. It's the principal, it's the authorities, it's the management who should be fighting to tell that they are not guilty. Why are we the ones who are running after everyone, telling, okay, these guys are guilty, put them behind the bars? We should be with our kids right now.
Absolutely. And over and above that, how many parents really report these cases? We've come up because we are not ashamed of what has happened. Yes. They should be the one who should have the shame. And if we have come forward, the only request, you can have your debates, but the only request is that please don't let us and the children down. We want to tell them a story that, this is something bad that happened, but the whole government, all the police inspectors and uncles came forward to rescue you. And this is a story we want to set as an example to all the other parents, that please, if there's some injustice that happens to your kid, please come forward and file an FIR. Police is going to help you and not harass you. I think that is one request, that all the parents don't need to come to media to get the action done. It needs to be done on its own. And please build that story. We want to believe all that you're saying, but not in future. In this case, it
is a horrible state of affairs when parents of children who have been hurt have to come on to national television and make appeals for basic humanity from the state government. We're going to take a quick break now, but on the other side, we'll open up the phone lines for your calls, and we will ask the state government for an assurance that that man will never, ever enter a public space where children are present ever again. That's on the other side. Don't go anywhere. You're watching The Urban Debate. I'm Faye D'Souza. Thank you for staying with us. Horror stories coming out of a school in Bangalore where over 40 children have complained of sexual abuse. What does the government need to do now? Vivek Reddy of the BJP, how can the government of Karnataka give us an assurance that they are, in fact, like they keep telling us, serious, and this is a case that they are not taking lightly, and they will make sure that other children are safe?
Serious doubt whether the government will be capable of doing this. From what Mrs. Aditi has told me, the most senior officers in the Department of Police, when parents have gone to the senior officers, they have just brushed this off and they have not taken it seriously. And in fact, one of the officers, Mr. Praveen Sood, I'm given to be heard, that he did not even know the exact facts about this offense, and he was trying to plead ignorance about it, and he was busy receiving other calls. And I'm asking Soumya Reddy, who's here, who represents the government, I'm asking her, how do you, if the most senior officers of the state government behave in such a manner, indifferent, brazen, and not bothered about this, when parents are crying, if the most senior officers are going to behave like this, how do you think you will create the right impression and atmosphere in the public about the actions you're going to take? The second thing is, the officer who was delayed filing the complaint because of 1 week, for about a week, with all the evidence lost, how can you place him in charge of future investigation of this matter? He is going to dilute the entire offense and ensure that they come out of it. This has happened a number of times where prosecution has failed to prove the guilt, bring home the guilt sufficiently before the court. In such circumstances, I want to ask Mrs. Soumya Reddy and the government, what action are you going to take to help these parents realize and bring home the accused? What action is going to be taken?
Soumya Reddy, that's an excellent question. And I want to ask you this very simple question. Now, obviously, the question that Vivek Reddy is asking is a more complicated question. The simple question is simply this. The mother who was just talking to us said, I want to be able to tell my child that a horrible thing happened, but all of these people came together to save you and rescue you.
Yes.
How will you make sure that happens? When the police force is turning parents away, when the police force is belittling parents, when the parents are right now leaving their children, having to chase after the police and chase after the authorities, how will you assure those little children that they are safe? And how will you assure every little child that is being dropped off at school tomorrow that they will be safe in the state of Karnataka?
First of all, it's really something unfortunate that's happened, and
You've already said that, madam. We have acknowledged that it's unfortunate. We've acknowledged it's a horrible thing, that nobody should have to go through it. All of those things we've already said thrice on the show now. You've also, just to remind you, told me that the Karnataka government is serious about it, that the Chief Minister is taking it very seriously, and that you are all working very hard. Give me tangible working points. What is being done? Point number 1, 2, 3, 4. Things that we can take away from this show. Stop giving us lip service about how serious you are and how horrible this is. We acknowledge that it's horrible. That's why we're having this conversation.
This is not lip service, including, the government is very serious about, ensuring that the child protection policy is implemented, in all the schools. So we're going to work very closely with the Education Department and the Child and Women Welfare Department as well, with the schools. And also, I personally, in fact, work with various NGOs, in fact, in doing awareness programs, including even child safety. So, we are going to ensure that this is not going to happen in the future.
Is that a personal guarantee that you're giving me? Is that a personal guarantee that you're giving me?
Ma'am, our only question is how?
How will you do it? How soon? Okay, you told me one thing. You said that you are working very hard to ensure the policy is implemented. Give me a deadline. When will the policy be implemented? On the 1st of June, when the new batch of schools starts, will all of the schools, at least in the city of Bangalore, have the policy implemented? Will you send a notification before the 1st of June? Can you do it before the new year in school starts? Give me a deadline before we close this show today.
Yes, we are going to do that as soon as possible. That is before the next school year begins. I will personally assure you that I am going to work on this personally myself.
Okay, we are going to hold the government of Karnataka to this one guarantee, and I have to wrap up the show because I've run out of time. But I want to point out that we will no longer be satisfied with words like serious and working hard and doing whatever we can and as soon as possible and very, very quickly. None of these things matter. Give us hard deadlines and give us complete action. And I demand that the Karnataka state government come out and say that they will put the best police officers on this job, police officers who have not been part of what happened on the first day, the second day or the third day, but a fresh set of the best and the brightest minds will be put on this job to make sure that they are doing a good job and to give confidence to the people of Bangalore that the government is in fact serious. Don't just tweet about it. Actually do something about it. And on this channel, we'll watch this case very, very closely. We will make sure these deadlines are met and we will not let it slide. Thanks for watching.